Oh, hey guys, welcome back to the show. We're keeping it real, goes right. Welcome back to Real Take Sports Talk. We're live here on YouTube. I'm Omar with Ben Greenberger joining the show today for the first time. Ben, how you doing? Let the people know who you are, how you are, what you're doing.
Look, the takes that you're going to get from me is just like very normal stuff. I'm just like a regular sports fan, regular guy. Look, if you're looking for like educated takes, sure, I can do that. I'm very versatile, but like I will give you I'll stand up and yell at the refs on TV. Like we all do that. I'm one of those people. So if you want I can give you both. I'm a character that way. We're just gonna have some fun tonight. I'm looking forward to this.
Yep, we're going to have big fun tonight. We're also going to be talking about some big things. We got Dak and Cam re-signing. Big news in the NBA with the Spurs. Big news out of the NCAA tournament. Teams are dropping out of that thing like crazy. Also, we're going to talk about ESPN and the NHL. All that and more coming to you live here on Real Take Sports Talk. But in the meantime, guys, before we get to any of that, remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right, we're going to start things off. Let's start things off by talking about the big news out of the NFL today. Big news out of New England as Cam Newton is returning to the Patriots. The Patriots and Cam Newton have agreed to a one-year contract worth $14 million, bringing Cam back as the starter in New England for another year. In 2020, he took over for Tom Brady as the starter, and New England hit some lows. They went 7-9, first losing season since 2000. Cam Newton had an iffy year, 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions through the air, but he also had almost 600 yards on the ground and scored 12 touchdowns. So, again, bit of a mixed bag, but what do you think, Ben, about Cam Newton coming back to the Patriots, this move by the Patriots, and the money, $14 million, a lot of money.
So the $14 million is, there's a ton of incentives there. Who knows if he's even going to earn that? The From everything I've heard, it's base value of 5 million. So you're giving him five. That's pretty standard, like backup slash 1B type of money, right? Like he's not your 1A, or like starter level. Honestly, like if you take a group of quarterbacks across the league, you say like, all right, who are your 1A guys? Who are your like backups who could start in a pinch? I'd put him in that group right now. But look, I don't think at all this prevents New England from bringing another quarterback. And I think they're probably either going to draft somebody or look to make a move in free agency or in the trade market this offseason. So I think he's still going to be like a transitional guy. He's probably going to have a battle in camp with somebody else. But I mean, look, if they didn't keep him, it was just going to be them in the open market, and Jarrett Stidham was going to be the only guy, the only known entity on that roster at quarterback, which honestly, if I were a Patriots fan, I would not feel good about that because everything we've seen from Stidham has been like every other quarterback that the Patriots drafted with Brady on the roster. Think about Ryan Mallett. Think about Brian Hoyer, who they brought in as a free agent.
Look, Brian Hoyer. Don't shit on Brian Hoyer. He almost brought the Cleveland Browns to a winning season one year. He
two wins.
almost
He
did
got
that.
2 wins once. He did get 2 wins with the Cleveland Browns. 2-0. He was 2-0, and then he got hurt. So who knows
Yep.
what could have been. So
Yep, the sky was the limit in Cleveland for that man. But no, I think Cam actually coming back. I think you're right on a few points here. I think the biggest one though is that this is a temporary thing. I think we can both agree on that. This is a temporary thing, and this is also New England kind of deciding that there were a lot of rumors that Jimmy G or Kirk Cousins could be potential trade pieces this offseason. Jimmy G especially was linked to the Patriots. That was noted last week as being the Patriots' A plan. I guess that plan went out the fucking window. But, I think that this is them saying that they're not going to go out there and get a big free agent. They're not going to go out there and trade for somebody. And this is likely a scenario where they're going to bring Cam Newton back, have him mentor Trey Lance, Mac Jones, one of these young guys out of the draft likely, and possibly build for the future in the draft, build for the future. Maybe next year. Maybe they don't even pick a quarterback in the draft because you know how Bill Belichick is. Bill Belichick he's playing three-dimensional chess, and we can question all we want, but at some point I feel like he's gonna be right about this. Like I know better than to doubt the genius of Bill Belichick.
Was it I mean, we could have this debate for years, but you know, you could always, is it the genius of Bill Belichick or was it Tom Brady that was carrying him all those years? But you know, I mean, they go 7-9 with a like very injured Cam Newton, or I don't even know if he's injured anymore. He's just a shell of what he used to be. But you know, they can figure out a little bit more of the offense. Cam, everything that I've heard was that he wasn't going to have a big market to begin with. It was basically New England if he wanted to have a shot at starting or bust. So, you know, it just makes the most sense for him, and it makes the most sense for New England, in that they know they're going to have stability at that position next year. So that's basically like the only reason to really keep him around.
Yeah, I agree. I would say this though. I would say that, you know, I think that paying him $14 million though, like you said, we don't know what the guarantees are yet. We don't know what it is, but like Cam Newton coming off of a year where he again had an up and down year, but $14 million.
Well,
It's a little
so
steep. It's a
I
like
mean,
even for a Cam Newton, like I know backup money is like nothing in the NFL. Like $10 million, whatever for a backup is nothing in the NFL these days. But like for me, it's kind of one of those things like you could have brought in like Chase Daniel or someone else for probably cheaper and like gotten like yielded a similar result if we're being honest.
Chase Daniel for cheaper. I mean, Chase Daniel's kind of like the king of the bag right now. Like that guy, wherever he goes, he better be demanding $10 million a year, because that's what he's been getting for the past couple of years with Detroit. So I mean, that's kind of what he's used to right now. But no, I mean, the thing with Cam, and I did have a chance to look at the contract numbers earlier this afternoon. He's getting $5 million in base. There's $1.5 million in game incentives. Basically, like how many games is he going to be playing? Like, is he healthy? He'll get $1.5 million if he stays healthy. And then there's 9.5 in just additional, you know, rushing yards, touchdowns, passing percentage, like all of those other incentives. So, I mean, look, I don't think he's going to see the full 14, but that's basic, like $14 million for a 1B guy right now. That's kind of like the going rate, especially when, and I know we're going to talk about this, Dak Prescott, who's very clearly a 1A guy, is getting $75 million next year. So I mean, it's just a huge difference in like player type and everything. But you know, that's just, if you want to keep a guy like Cam around and you want to know that you're going to have some sort of stability year over year. Because I mean, think about it. New England had Tom Brady for like 20 years. Like they're not used to change at the quarterback position like that. So knowing that you're going to be able to keep Cam around and have that like year to year stability, it's going to cost you $14 million. And I think they're fine having that number against the books this year.
That's fair. That's fair. And like, I kind of want to get into this because earlier on a previous episode, me and the regular host Johnny, we were talking about how Gardner Minshew would be a perfect fit for this New England team. Like if the Pats wanted to bring in literally the living embodiment of Tom Brady in the year 2000. Gardner Minshew's basically a 6th-round pick. You know, doesn't have the best arm strength really. Very very underrated, but you know he can come in, compete. He's feisty. He's a leader wherever he's been. And dude, the mustache. You can't. You can't hinder Minshew. But, you know, like originally there were thoughts that, you know, they might bring in someone like Minshew, trade for him, Garoppolo. And this is signaling that they might go after someone in the draft. Now, is there anyone you think you have in mind from the draft that they could go after, that they might want to go after or target?
I mean, based on where they're picking, Mac Jones is just that's just, I mean, a no-brainer for them. You have a guy comes from the Saban Alabama connection with Belichick, right? Because Belichick and Saban worked together in Cleveland. They've always been close. I mean, there's a huge Alabama to New England pipeline. You think over the past couple of years, Anthony Jennings last year went there. So I mean, they like Alabama players also because they're proven winners most of the time. Mac Jones coming off a national championship. I mean, that seems to be a natural fit. And also you think about Josh McDaniels and the offense that he was running for, you know, his entire career for the most part with Tom Brady. Mac Jones is a very similar quarterback in that he's not going to move around a whole lot, but he can move around in the pocket, and he can make throws. He's accurate. smart player. Like I think Mac Jones is like a perfect fit for New England. And I mean, aside from him being a good fit there, I think Mac Jones is a good fit anywhere. I'm a huge Mac Jones guy.
Ugh,
But
I'm not.
look, I like Mac
I'm
Jones.
not.
Come after me for that. I like Mac Jones. He is. I'll put him at my number. He's my number 2 quarterback in the draft. I'll go there.
Whoa,
I'll say it.
pause. All right, we're gonna have to
Smart
change.
player.
We're gonna have to change topics. Mac Jones is your second best quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, why not? Behind Justin Fields.
Wait. Time out. So Justin Fields, your number 1.
Sure. Yeah.
Where's Trevor Lawrence on this?
I'll put Lawrence at 3.
Stop. No.
Yeah.
We got another Lawrence hater on this podcast.
I'm not a Lawrence hater. I think he's just look. Trevor Lawrence is a private school kid. You know, he's got all this privilege. He came from.
No, this is actually a dumber reason than the last guy. The last guy just hated Clemson, and he said that anyone or anything from Clemson is just terrible. You're literally just doing that with private school.
Like, no. So here's my thing. Here's my thing on Trevor Lawrence, and this is where I said when I introduced myself, I was like, look, you want some just like regular, just probably not the smartest takes, but look,
definitely not. I agree.
Trevor Lawrence is too pretty to win a Super Bowl. I'll say it.
Have you seen Tom Brady in 2020?
No, but Trevor Lawrence, he's got the hair, he's got the I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Look, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a good NFL quarterback. I don't think look, he's not I don't see like killer instinct in him. Tom Brady's got like, and this is just totally intangibles, and this is just me watching TV. Trevor Lawrence has never really been challenged. He had just a cheap ACC schedule and Clemson was obviously the most talented team in the ACC every year, and they just bulldozed through the ACC, and especially this year where they didn't really need to play anybody even out of conference. Like, he can make a lot of throws on the football field, but he's always been playing against inferior talent.
Oh,
what happens? Yeah, absolutely.
That's not true. That's not true. It's college. See, all that stuff is subjective. It depends on what you mean by inferior talent. By that logic, Carson Wentz was obviously competing with inferior talent.
Yeah, look what happened when he got to the NFL. He just got traded to Indianapolis a couple weeks ago because he didn't work out in Philly.
Oh, that was come on, Trevor. I almost called you Trevor. Like, come on, Ben. Like, this is literally. I'm still on this. Like, this is like I literally had another guy who used to do this show with us, who would come on here every week, and even if he wasn't on the topic, he would fit in like a Trevor Lawrence line just to shit on him. And it would be literally for the dumbest reasons. And I think you might have had like a much dumber reason.
No, it's a better reason. It's a real reason. Bad playing against less talent, too pretty. That's the thing. But over the past couple of years, and here's my biggest point, because I forget this sometimes because people just, take the conversation too far. He hasn't gotten better year over year. Now, think about this for a second. This is my best argument right here. When he won the national championship his freshman year, everybody was immediately they crowned him, right? People crowned him. They were like, all right, well, next Peyton Manning, he's gonna win 2 Heismans and 2 more national championships before he leaves here. He didn't win another national championship. He never won a Heisman. I cannot definitively say that Trevor Lawrence got better, that he improved over his last 2 years of college football. I don't know if he's going to improve in the NFL. I'm like, if you put him in right now, he'll probably be a fine NFL quarterback. He'll be a starter. But the problem is, it's almost like the Tua thing in Miami, because I'm watching Tua in Miami right now, and I'm like, I don't know if he can get better than this. I think he's already at his ceiling. Trevor Lawrence's ceiling is very high, but I think he might already be at that. I haven't seen him improve over the past couple of years. He's still making the same throws he was making a couple of years ago, which are good, but he's not doing anything to wow me. Normally guys rise up the draft boards over their last 2 years of college. He was already at the top. He didn't make any mistakes to fall, but he wasn't I think we crowned him too early, and we haven't been able to look at him critically because of that.
Well, there's an argument to be made that he was probably crowned a little too early, but I think in the past few years he hasn't really needed to. So if you're looking at just stats, then yeah, his stats are pretty even as much as long as he's been in college. But that's just because his stats were pretty good to begin with. I think the argument that people have who like Trevor Lawrence or like his playing style or like him as a number one prospect like me is that the dude just can make the NFL throws like from any which way. He can read defenses and he's known to read defenses. He can run an NFL offense. He's smart enough to run an NFL offense. He's got the accuracy by far and he's a leader. And I think that and the intangibles go along with that. But we'll do a Trevor Lawrence thing at some point because now this is interesting. Like I just literally I have to have a token anti Sunshine guy. By the way, his nickname is Sunshine on this show. In case you're wondering, let's get you hip on that.
So and this is my last point on Trevor Lawrence. Then we can move on to Dak. But everybody likes Trevor Lawrence so much that I just find myself having to be like, all right, let's cool it down. I just got to play like this other side. And look, I will come armed with arguments for either side. If you were anti-Trevor Lawrence, I'd be telling you here, his freshman year, he made it to the championship. Like his freshman year, he won a championship and he made it. Like he's been in the playoffs every year since. Like he's still a good player and everything. But it is also a lot of fun to argue the other side because nobody wants to do that right now with Trevor Lawrence. So what if I'm right? Why shouldn't I take that risk and argue that side?
Well, because you're wrong, and that's why. Anyway, we have some fun from the chat. Marcus P. I'm not going to read that first one.
No, read it.
No, I'm not going to read that. No, I don't know whether to be offended by that or not. But Russell Wilson signing with the Seahawks. Yeah, that happened a while ago. Thank you, Marcus. Forever. Yeah, that'll probably happen. Trevor Lawrence looks like he has some WAP. Interpret that however you may. Marcus P says I'm assuming he's talking about Trevor Lawrence. But he's no Mike Glennon, and I think we can all agree on that. Whether you like Trevor Lawrence or not, we can all agree that he is no Mike Glennon.
And he's got some wildly average passes, in my view, is what WAP stands for. So
I would hope so.
Yeah, just average. He's not that good. He's not amazing. If he was amazing, it would be amazing. But it's just average.
Speaking of average quarterbacks getting overrated, Dak Prescott re-signed with the Dallas Cowboys. He signed a 4-year, $160 million contract with $66 million guaranteed at signing. Huge deal for Dallas as they were able to avoid the franchise tag for the second year in a row. Now Dak has a little bit of long-term security coming off that whole injury that he suffered, and he can probably make some noise. We'll see. We'll have to see how he comes back from the injury. We'll have to see how that team down in Jerry World does next year. But Ben, what do you think about this contract?
All right. I'll give you the meatball fan opinion first because I think that one's more fun on this. Jerry Jones is afraid of dying, and he's trying to win a Super Bowl before he dies, and he will go to any length possible to win a Super Bowl before he dies. He will never win a Super Bowl before he dies because his head coach right now is Mike McCarthy.
Oh, watermelon smashing McCarthy. Amazing.
So real opinion, or if you want the analysis. There we go. That's the word. It was going to come to me eventually. Look, Dak's the best you're going to get. There's nobody out there that the Dallas Cowboys could get that's going to do better for them than Dak Prescott. Yes, he's a stat patter. I know he was supposed to throw for 6,000 yards last year, whatever the hell he was on pace for before he got hurt. That's only because they were down 40 points at halftime every game, and he had to throw them back into every game. But look, he makes throws. He's a good quarterback. I would probably say he's a top 10 quarterback. I'll even go there. And he's got a lot of weapons around him, and they're probably at this point the clear favorites to win the NFC East. And when you get a quarterback like that, who you know is the guy, Dak is very clearly the guy, you got to pay him. I mean, I feel like there's fewer and fewer guys now around the league at the quarterback position where that guy's your quarterback. I mean, we thought Carson Wentz and Jared Goff were the guys in LA and Philly. Turns out they're not. I feel like I know that Dak is the guy in Dallas.
That's the thing, though. There's this lingering thing of, like it's like a lingering doubt. It's not like, look, he's not at the level of Goff, right? Because Goff, we know he was a system QB at best. Like, he was a really good system QB at best. But like,
can I interrupt? You're pronouncing his name wrong, and I pronounced his name wrong too. We have to go to the Troy Aikman book of pronunciation. His name is Jared Goff. So you have to say that like Troy Aikman, please. Just continue saying it like Troy Aikman. Jared Goff.
So Ryan Gosling, before he was traded away to the Detroit Lions, was look, like he was kind of, I think, in like those are two different situations. Dak is a quarterback who, he has all the talent. We 100% know he has all the talent. He has all the intangibles, and I think it's a situation. It's kind of like a Tony Romo situation. If he was on any other team, I think at this point there'd be no doubt that Dak Prescott would be, contender, would be like franchise quarterback all the way. I think that one of the things, and it might just be inherent bias on some people's parts, is the fact that he plays for the Cowboys, and it's just true. Since Troy Aikman was gone, like the Cowboys have been known to waste players' careers, waste their talents, and I think we're seeing that to an extent with Dak, and it's kind of eroded a lot of people's opinion of him, myself included, by the way. I think Dak has the talent to take almost any team to a Super Bowl. I just don't think has the talent to take the Cowboys to the Super Bowl, and that's why I feel like. And again, this is more of a critique of the Cowboys than it is Dak. I think the Cowboys, from top to bottom, they're just not a well-run organization because they've had so many chances. They've had all of these Pro Bowl, All-Pro players, and they have yet to find a way to put it together to even get a few playoff wins. The Ravens have had more Super Bowl victories than the Cowboys have had playoff wins in my lifetime. That's fucking insane, okay? So, I think there needs to be a little bit of an overhaul in the front office. But the thing is, and the question's always going to come down to is, okay, is Dak worth this contract? I think, yeah, he's obviously worth the contract. But is it going to make a difference for the Cowboys, for Dak in the long term? He's going to get paid, and they're going to have a franchise quarterback, but are they going to win a Super Bowl? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I mean, he's a very good quarterback. I don't think that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Dak hasn't won a playoff game yet.
I think he won one like 2 years ago. He won one. Okay. Yeah, he won a playoff game, and I think in 2016 or 2017. Because I remember my roommate was a Cowboys fan. He made a huge deal about it. He was very excited. It's like one of the few times I've ever seen him happy. So,
wow.
Yeah. But but the thing is, they've just underperformed every year, and Dak has kind of been part of that underperforming too. So and you got to think at what point is it going to end up hurting his overall talent and his overall career?
Well, I mean, I'd say the bigger problem there is it's been the coaching staff. I mean, Jerry Jones seems like he's perfectly capable of drafting talented players, which is weird because we usually don't trust Jerry with that kind of stuff. But
no, we don't.
I mean, he built a really good offensive line that they had for a couple of years. They've got a ton of weapons right now. Their defense is, there's talent spread around. I mean, there is talent out there. But I mean, you look at their last two head coaches were Jason Garrett, and now it's Mike McCarthy. I mean, it's not, we're not dealing with geniuses over here. I mean, Mike McCarthy, I have a lot of mean things to say about Mike McCarthy that I'm not going to say.
Okay, no. Honestly, why do you think Mike McCarthy is a bad coach? Because you seem very passionate about this.
I think he got carried by Aaron Rodgers to one Super Bowl. He lied about his credentials and got a job in Dallas. I mean, no, seriously. Have you heard this story?
I think you're referring to the whole like he had like a whole like coaching like shed or whatever
No, no, no,
that he
no.
watched film out of like for a year.
So so he when he got fired in Green Bay, he said, all right, all right, whatever. I got accused of being a Neanderthal, whatever. Apologies to Neanderthals. You know, it's an offensive term now. Sorry. But the because the last 4 years in Green Bay, he was just it was run the ball with James Starks, and then punt, and it was a bad offense, and he was supposed to be an offensive guy, and he said, all right, fine, I'll get with the times, I'll look into analytics, I'll become an analytics guy. He takes the year off. He goes to Dallas. He says, I went all in on analytics this offseason. I bought a subscription to Pro Football Focus. I've been going through that stuff constantly. And then, like, after week 3, like, he only could live with it for 3 weeks before he was like, yeah, I never even looked at the Pro Football Focus stuff. Like,
Wait, he came out and said that?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
what a
He's like,
stooge.
yeah,
Like
no,
he stooged himself out. Like,
yeah.
come on.
And then he hired Mike Nolan as his defensive coordinator, basically as a favor, because Mike Nolan was his head coach in San Francisco, where he got his start. Mike Nolan, the guy who wore a suit on the sidelines that one time. And Mike Nolan was sitting up in the coach's booth in Dallas, not doing anything. And of course he got fired this offseason when McCarthy realized he had to change over his coaching staff, which is honestly, when you start firing your coordinators, that is the telltale sign that a coach is probably going to be on the hot seat if he doesn't start performing well eventually. So, like, Jerry Jones is a little eccentric as an owner. He probably feels a little bit of heat right now, thinking that he hired the wrong guy with McCarthy. I'm not putting McCarthy on the hot seat, but I think McCarthy thinks he's on the hot seat. So they probably need to start hot this year, or we could be looking at head coach Kellen Moore.
Okay. I feel extremely strongly about Kellen Moore. He's like my favorite college football player of all time.
I mean, who doesn't love Kellen Moore?
Big
We
shout
all
out to
love Kellen Moore.
2011 Boise State.
Yeah.
They should have competed for the national championship that year. But in all seriousness, like, I agree with you on a lot of points, but I think overall with Mike McCarthy, like my biggest critique of him is the dude just doesn't have that one thing you can point to and be like, oh, he's automatically going to come in and help make X better, or he's going to come in and fix the culture, or he's going to come in, make the offense more effective. He's going to come in, do this. He doesn't provide anything. And he's not even like one of these inspirational coaches. Like, you remember midway through the season, they were talking about how he brought in everybody for a big team meeting, and he brought in some hammers and some watermelon, and was like, yeah, let's go smash some watermelon, boys. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's weird and eccentric and whatever. But at the same time, it's like, is that really the best like bonding activity you can come up with?
Well, he did that twice. They're 2-0 in watermelon games. The Bears.
Yeah. They got to buy up all the watermelons in the Dallas Fort Worth area for next year, because that's the only way they're gonna win more than like 6 games. In all seriousness, this is just like I also feel extremely strongly about McCarthy, because like McCarthy was someone who I originally thought had a lot of like, clout as a coach when he was in Green Bay. Like, and this was like coming off the Super Bowl. This was when everyone thought, Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers did it together. And then slowly, once you realized like they weren't putting anyone around Aaron Rodgers to make him successful, and he alone was carrying that team, you realize, oh, this fucker McCarthy, he's just sitting on the sideline like acting like he's calling plays, and in a lot of situations calling the wrong plays if he was. So he literally brought nothing. He's not even like there are coaches who out there who aren't like, big like offensive or defensive minds. Like John Harbaugh is one, right? Where he's a special teams coordinator, right? He doesn't affect too much of what's going on in the offense or whatever. Like, he's involved or whatever, but he doesn't focus on that stuff. But at least someone like him, he's like the motivational type of guy. He can galvanize the team. And like, there's other coaches who do that. Bill Belichick, more of a strategic type of GM guy. Like, these are people who affect the way your team plays and prepares. Mike McCarthy literally doesn't do anything. So the fact that Jerry Jones thought that he would be a good fit is exactly why I'm worried. I'm literally worried about Dak signing this contract, not just for his future, but the future of anyone on that team. Like, Ezekiel Elliott's career is over. Let's be honest. His career is over. Like, running backs to begin with only had a 4-year career, and he like basically used it all up in the past few years, and then he went to Cabo and held out and Le'Veon Bell'd himself. Or I could say we should probably say that Le'Veon Bell zeked himself. I don't know. But whichever one came first, chicken or the egg. But let me just make this final point. I promise you, Ben, there's no way. The Cowboys could be 0-11. There's no way Jerry Jones is going to fire Mike McCarthy midway through the season. You know why? Because that itself would be an indictment on Jerry Jones. Because he knows at the end of the day, it will be looked at as his failure. There's a reason he stuck it out with what's his name for 7 years when they went 8-8. So I don't see them at all changing their ways. I don't see Jerry even remotely firing him.
I mean, you want to talk about coaches that didn't really do anything. There was always the joke with Jason Garrett where it's just like he was Coach Clap. He would just stand on the sidelines and clap the entire game. But no, I mean, and you kind of made the point where it's like there's some head coaches who you're like, this guy's just a head coach. Like he's not a coordinator. Like there's some teams that just hire a coordinator and they're like, oh yeah, he's going to be the head coach now. You see that all the time. Like McCarthy's very clearly like a head coach. He's going to be just as engaged with the defense as he is with the offense. That level of engagement is pretty low, but I mean, it's the same sort of thing with Belichick. Like, is he dedicating as much time to both sides of the football? That's a clear head coach. I mean, Sean McVay's about to catch a stray right here, but I mean, Sean McVay is clearly an offensive guy, and whoever his defensive guy is handling that other side of the ball. Like he's not. Sean McVay doesn't strike me as like a head coach. Sean McVay is an offensive coordinator. But
even McVay like has a way of like inspiring the team. Like he's got a little bit of that leadership quality. McCarthy doesn't even have that.
Yeah, no, I mean, watermelons. He's got watermelons.
He's got well, dude, I could. If that's like your level of like ability as a motivator, like dude, like that's pretty. To quote Marcus P in the chat, toxic head coach. That's all I will say.
Jerry Jones just hired Gallagher. That's basically what he did. I mean, he's like, I don't think he realized that he was hiring Gallagher, but he hired Gallagher. That's what happened. So yeah, pretty much. All right. Anything else you want to say about the Cowboys or Dak or Zeke or whatever? If you're upset about the Dak Prescott contract, you're upset about the wrong contract, because you should be upset about the Zeke contract, because that one, that's the one you should be upset about. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan and you're like, oh, we overpaid Dak. No, you did not. You paid Dak a perfectly reasonable amount of money. You paid Ezekiel Elliott way too much money. Nobody should ever pay a running back that much money. And I am very, very worried that my New York Giants are about to do the same thing with Saquon Barkley. Spoiler alert, they will. And it'll screw them over for the rest of for the next couple of years at least. Not that they're in a bad place already. No
if Saquon hadn't torn his ACL this year, I probably would have been fine paying him. Now there's too much of a wild card for me.
Never pay a running back. Never pay a running back. You never need to pay a running back.
Well, I mean, look, the way contracts work in the NFL anyway, they're worthless after like 2 years. So you're really only paying them for 2 years.
Yeah, but I mean, just a running back holding up that much cap space. Somebody's going to pay Aaron Jones a lot of money on Monday. And thoughts and prayers to whoever does that. I hope it's a team that knows what to do with him, but it's not going to be. Jacksonville's going to sign him for, $17 million a year because they have so much cap space. And oh boy, that's going to be fun.
It's going to be great. Sunshine is going to have a lot of fun, like with Aaron Jones not producing in the backfield for him. Anyway, all right, speaking of not producing, that's exactly what the NHL has been doing as far as increasing their fan base for the past few years, when they were on every single channel that nobody cared about, including True TV, NBC Sportsnet, and USA Network. But
the Golf Channel, too. They did play playoff games on the Golf Channel.
The National Hockey League played playoff games on the Golf Channel, but to that, I say no more. The ESPN and the NHL announced a 7-year deal on Wednesday, returning hockey to ESPN for the first time since 2004. This includes 25 regular season games on ESPN or ABC, early round playoff series, one conference final each year, and 4 Stanley Cup finals on ABC during the duration of this contract. In addition, there's also going to be 1,000 games per season streaming live on ESPN Plus, ESPN networks, and Hulu. NHL.TV is also going to be getting basically shafted by this, and ESPN Plus is going to get a huge boost as all of the NHL app stuff, all of the NHL premium packages are going to be shifted over to ESPN Plus. So they've gained a lot of the capital, a lot of the streaming rights to these games. Again, a 7-year deal worth $2.8 billion. It's also worth to note that there are still, I believe, a few hundred games and some rights to playoff series as well that are still being negotiated. Those deals will either be done with CBS or NBC, who is the incumbent, and we'll see what that is. But the NHL accomplishing a lot of stuff with this deal, getting a lot of much-needed money and exposure. That's the biggest thing. They have missed out on exposure in the past few years, and they're going to get it with ESPN. Ben, what do you make of this?
I love hockey, and I want more people to watch hockey. If that takes ESPN becoming a major hub for hockey, fine. I mean, look, you got to grow the game somehow. It's a fun sport. There is nothing in the world like playoff hockey. Like I know we got March Madness starting next week.
Maybe. No,
we're having it. We're gonna have March Madness. We're not doing that again. No way. But I mean, there's really nothing in the world like playoff hockey. And look, if ESPN's able to do this well, like no glowing puck, none of that crap. But I look. It's going to help them too because it brings in a new audience. Hockey audiences are very niche, and there are a lot of hockey watchers that really only watch hockey as their only sport. So you bring in a whole new audience with that, and it's going to fill some more time on other ESPN broadcasts where they can talk about hockey now. So because now ESPN actually has a stake in hockey, and they should care about it and dedicate time on their shows to it. So I mean, that's a big plus for them.
Barry Melrose was the only reason I even knew hockey was a sport, and I am so thankful that he's probably going to be back for some of the commentary and analysis on this. He's like one of the best analysis guys in sports, and so it's going to be good to hopefully see him back. But this deal is huge, and you hit on a point there where you said that hockey can be a niche sport. I don't think that's completely true. Like, I think the reason it's been a niche sport for so long, and there's only hockey fans who watch hockey and only hockey, is because it hasn't had the exposure in so long that it probably needed to grow. Like we said, when you're on True TV and then the Golf Channel, there's only so much you can grow your base. But when you're on ESPN, when ESPN's going to be pushing this hard, probably, like they're just going to be like, look, hockey, like in your face, on your phone all the time. So they're going to be able to actually grow their base off that. But hockey, honestly, to me, is a sport that I think it's actually pretty easy for people to get into if they're aware of it. Because that's what happened to me. Like, I call me a bandwagoner, but in 2018, I started rooting for the Capitals during their playoff push that year, and that was the year that they went out and won the Stanley Cup. And when you actually have a chance to watch a game, like just sit down and watch a game, you get into it. It's a fun sport because it's constant action. There's the threat of a potential fight, which I think a lot of people love to see. Less so than in years past. We realize that, but still, we love the potential for a little bit of rabble rousing. But also, it's a sport that kind of like soccer in a way. The scoring when it happens, it's extremely exciting because you realize it can be difficult to score a goal every now and then. You don't see teams scoring like 10 goals a game. That's not what happens in hockey. No. But it's going to be a big deal, I think, for fans, and the sport of hockey is going to be better for this deal. And I think it kind of broadens the argument, or broadens our discussion rather, to this idea of streaming. Because we've seen, we're seeing now with this deal in ESPN and in the NHL, and we've seen with the NFL and Yahoo and teaming up with Amazon as well to stream some games on Thursday nights and what have you. Like, I think we're seeing that the need to put games on like just these national networks or these network or on network television to begin with are becoming less and less important. The more valuable thing to the sports leagues are getting it in front of people through streaming. And I think that's going to be that's going to play a huge part, obviously, when the NFL renegotiates their deals, when the NHL renegotiates their deal, when the NBA probably renegotiates their deals. I think these things are going to play a big deal because we're probably going to see the NBA on Paramount Plus. We're probably going to see, like the NFL like all over Yahoo, and it already is. Like you can already stream all your local and primetime games on the Yahoo Sports app. So I think that's kind of the future we're going to, and I think it's going to be good for sports in general. I know that there's apparently, though, still some people who see it as a downside, but I think the only people who actually see it as like, a bad thing are people who either work for like these networks and are pushing that kind of stuff, or they're people who just don't understand the gravity or the reach of these streaming platforms.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole ESPN Plus thing. I mean, they're bringing in, all these cord cutters or whatever you want to call them. I'm still a cable guy. I'll always be a cable guy through and through. But the other element here is I've always said Gary Bettman has done a terrible job at I don't know if the word is publicizing or just growing the game as a whole. Like he's not an opportunist at all. Like there will be games where, in the playoffs, instead of doing like a game at 3:30 and then a game at 7, he'll put like 2 games at 7. So it's like, well, we can't just have a full day of hockey. You have to pick one. Then there was the thing with not letting the NHL players go to the Olympics the other year. I mean, there's just been so many missteps, and I feel like this is finally a step in the right direction for them. And I mean, it seems like everybody inside ESPN is just like thrilled about this. I mean, it's more money for them. It's another sport they get to cover. Because I mean, let's be honest, they just wrote it off before. Like it's not something they even dedicated time to. But yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. And now I'm just wondering like who's going to be calling games for them? Like what announcer team are they going to be rolling out? Are they going to have Barry Melrose working like Stephen A. Smith hours where he's going to be the color guy for a game and then they're going to have him in studio the next day? Like,
dude, if ESPN was smart, they would just give the keys to the ship to Barry Melrose and Mike Greenberg. Just give the keys.
No, we don't need more Mike Greenberg. They give us too much Mike Greenberg.
Oh, come on. You don't like Greeny?
I don't need more Mike Greenberg.
Oh, you're a hater.
I really don't need more Mike
You're a hater. No, but okay. If not him, then Steve Lee. Steve Lee, definitely. Levy, yeah, we need to give.
No, I don't. I'm not a fan of his either.
You don't like the OGs. That's your problem. That's your problem with these kids these days, and they don't like the OGs.
I think they need to start. This was my big take the other night where I was like, all right, look out for this. I could be right on this one. I think it's a good idea, and if ESPN hasn't thought of it, they really need to have a conversation about it. Brace yourself.
Okay, bracing myself.
I think they need to go to Kenny Albert and say, name your price, because you get to call all of our hockey games and you're going to get Monday Night Football. I didn't like Steve Levy on Monday Night Football this past year.
Ooh, you are definitely in the minority on that. You are
really
definitely
on Steve Levy. I don't think people like.
Yeah, Steve Levy. Well, okay. First of all, you need to understand where they were coming from in years past. Okay, this was they were coming from McDonough, and then they went to I don't even remember the guy's name.
Yeah, Joe
Tessitore, and they like Levy was a huge step up from those guys. And okay, look, the big thing that Levy brought back to Monday Night Football, and we can debate on like the amount that he brought back, was some credibility. at that play-by-play position. And Monday Night Football really needed it because before it just became a parody of like football because you first had McDonough who's like touchdown with his like screechy voice that no one liked, and Tessitore was just boring, bland ass potato salad. Like nobody liked him.
But Joe Tessitore would also do the thing where he'd try to sell you a mansion when he was only giving you a 500 square foot apartment, and he's blowout game, and he's doing big game touchdown voice for a touchdown that gets scored, and I'm like, dude, this game's over. Like, slip in something about gambling here or something to keep me interested. Like there's interesting things happening that are not related to the game, and you're trying to make this feel interesting. Like, Monday Night Football needs a step up if they want to get it in the Super Bowl rotation.
I think Monday Night Football. I honestly think Monday Night Football. Look. Think about who they're also competing with the primetime games. Like, they're definitely better than the Fox team. Like
no, they're not. Absolutely not.
Oh
no
my
way.
God, you
way.
are coming in strong with the hot takes.
Yeah,
like really.
If far and away, this is the correct order. 1, NBC, the entire production. Alan, Chris.
I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you. Yeah, number one NBC.
Sunday Night Football, way up there.
Yeah,
like there's nobody touching Sunday Night Football, even remotely close to Sunday Night Football. Number 2 and 3 are close. I would put Joe and Troy at number 2 just because I don't like Tony Romo.
Wow, you are definitely in the minority on that. Like you have to come to terms with the fact that you're in the minority on that. Tony Romo commentary is awesome.
I think people liked Tony Romo the first year. I didn't really. I gave Tony Romo like half a season, and I liked him for half a season. He started to bother me by the playoffs. He's been bothering me, and I think people have been getting annoyed by him recently. People in the chat, I got to hear from the folks in the chat on this one. Thoughts on Tony Romo, because he's been bothering me over the past like 2.5 years. And I think this year he started to get on people's nerves with the whole, oh, Jim, all the noises and the excitement out of like, dude, chill out, call the game. Like, there's stuff going on. You don't need to try to predict every play because he's been getting stuff wrong recently. Like, and the whole prediction thing, it just wasn't fun anymore. Like, I'm very over Tony Romo. I think he's a smart guy, but he's just a lot to deal with, and he's annoying right now. But then I would put Monday Night Football with their revolving door of whoever they're bringing in there is probably 4th. And the whole production of it, too, just isn't great. They keep showing – they love their blimp shots. They just have a blimp shot.
Oh, the blimp shots are iconic, though. That's iconic Monday Night Football.
But every time they come back from a commercial, they do a blimp shot. It's a lot. We've seen the blimp shot. We get it. We know what a stadium
NBC
looks
does
like
the same thing, though.
NBC
does the same thing.
NBC does one blimp shot, and the rest.
thing.
The rest of their intros and outros are around the city, different food places. Like they are. NBC is like, you are going to an event. Sunday Night Football is an event. You see the entire city.
I'm not arguing with you on that part. And everyone knows NBC. I don't care. Like all these people who say Chris Collinsworth is terrible. Shut the fuck up. You're wrong. Like Alan and Chris are the best on TV, period. Take that to the bank. But
from the song, you hear that in the song.
It's in the song, so it must be true. Yeah. But where I'm gonna disagree with you emphatically is that Joe and Troy are number 2 or 3. They are by far and away number 4, maybe 5. I would put dude, bring back the old NFL Network guys. Bring back John Papa and all those guys, and Mike Mayock.
You're gonna put Bob Papa and Kurt Warner in the booth.
Yes, put them in the booth. They'll be 10 times better than Joe and Troy. Look, Troy Aikman, Hall of Fame level player. Love him to death. Great for the game, terrible for the booth, terrible for analysis. Does not just like it doesn't resonate with me. It just doesn't resonate with me. And don't get me started on Joe. All right. He is literally, dude, it's literally the most, like, just tone deaf, like, just robotic voice of football ever. I don't enjoy watching games on Fox. And the production is terrible. The sound quality is bad.
No, hang on. You got to get Fox credit.
The sound quality is terrible on those games, and you know it because they tune out. They actually tune out the fan noise during it, so you can't hear the fans actually cheering.
So Joe Bucket and Troy Aikman, at least I have fun watching their games.
Oh,
I get annoyed.
Okay.
I get annoyed by Tony. ESPN is just like, I mean, Monday Night Football has been, and the people there will admit it too. It's just, I mean, it hasn't been as good as it's been. They used to have Al
It was
Michaels
much better
calling
this
Monday
year,
Night
though. It
Football.
was
I
much
mean,
better this year.
a little bit better this year. Louis Riddick was okay. Brian, I
Oh,
don't know how
okay, yeah.
much
Brian
Brian
Greasy
Greasy
needs to be replaced, dude. Look, if they want to bring back, like, if they want to make a good booth there, they need to get Kirk Herbstreit. Just get him. Just get Kirk Herbstreit. Like, it's not gonna hurt college football. People who watch college football are still gonna watch college football. Just put Kirk Herbstreit on the broadcast. He could probably do both. If we're being real, he could probably do both and save ESPN some money because they wouldn't be paying Greasy all that money to stand there dead eyed in the booth.
When Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit called Week 1 this year because there was no college football game.
Right.
They were great. I mean, and they're a great college football team. And the reason that ESPN has kept its college football national championship contract so long is because of Kurt and Chris. I don't know why they wouldn't add them to the football schedule, the NFL rotation. I mean, Joe and Troy do 2 games a week. Like they do Thursday and then they go and do Sunday. Like it's doable. It's probably not what they want to do, and they probably have a lot of leverage there because they're the number 1 college team, and they can say, look, if you're going to make us do 2 games, we're going to walk. But they are by far the best announcing team at ESPN right now. I mean, I don't think there's any other sport that ESPN does like their baseball team. I don't watch enough baseball to know their baseball team. I think it's do they have John Smoltz and Dan Shulman calling baseball?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even watch baseball last year.
Yeah, but I mean, baseball team's
they're not as good as basketball though. Like Hubie Brown is iconic on the call. You gotta love Hubie.
Is Hubie Brown still there?
Yeah, he's still there.
Okay.
Dude, Hubie Brown will never retire.
Because I've been getting a lot of Mike Breen and Mark Jackson lately, and Mark Jackson puts me to sleep. I can't.
Yeah, I understand. I understand completely why the Warriors let him go. He probably wasn't good for morale. Wasn't the best motivator. Love Mark Jackson though. You know, I love the idea of Mark Jackson. You know, more than I actually like Mark Jackson. But
like, look, I was watching a game the other night, and they come back from commercial, and Mark Jackson starts in. He's like, "I just want to send my thoughts to Michael Jordan," and I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "It's his birthday today." Yeah. I was like, "Dude, what?"
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. It was pretty funny. He was making it look like I was like, "Yo, wait, what happened to Michael Jordan, bro?" Like, I'm gonna take this personal. Like, but Michael Jordan was fine.
It's just Mark Jackson is just the lowest energy tone, and he's just coming in with like the most ridiculous, like inappropriate comments that where he's totally.
He's the Jeb Bush of the NBA commentators. Very low energy. Anyway,
actually, you know what? Dave Pasch and Bill Walton, because Bill Walton's Bill Walton, and I love watching Bill Walton games. And if he's calling a game tonight, which I think he might be, that will be fun to watch. So.
Look, my ultimate fix to any terrible announcing team is just to put Snoop Dogg and Marshawn Lynch on it. I don't care what happens; it's gonna be goddamn entertaining, and I will watch it through its entirety. Speaking of the NBA, though, as we were talking about earlier, we got some big news out of San Antonio. So Lamarcus Aldridge, former power forward or center, parted ways with the San Antonio Spurs. He's a 7-time All-Star, 6 seasons with the team, parted ways. And there's people who are mulling the potential reunion with Dame and CJ in Portland. A lot of people say that's the likely move. That's who he's going to try to go ring chase with. But, you know, that's going to be to be determined. Ben, what do you think about Lamarcus Aldridge, though, being a free agent and getting to choose his destination?
So he's not a free agent yet. They haven't bought him out yet.
Well, okay, he's going to be.
Nobody's trading for that contract. Nobody's taking that contract on, especially with Aldridge. What's the average? Like 14 points, 5 rebounds. Like he's not. I will have you know,
my Cavs definitely have the cap room to make that deal happen. It just depends on how many number 1 picks we get in return.
So you're gonna do what? You're gonna roll out. Is Kevin Love still there?
Yeah, dude. They can have, dude. I like. Look, my thing is, I'm a Cavs fan, and I am a suffering fan right now. I've been a suffering fan for all but 4 years of my life. But I will tell you this. The Cleveland Cavaliers are in the perfect position to take up any terrible contract. Like we took up Drummond, or yeah, Drummond's terrible contract. We for some ungodly reason paid Kevin Love all that money, but there's some interest there with the Lakers, so we'll see what that is. I'm just about stockpiling picks. I don't care how bad they are. I don't care how good they are. Just give me first round picks. Give me. I want to maximize our potential to get not like star level players. That'll never fucking happen. No stars are ever coming to Cleveland. I just want to have players who are at least fun to watch. Because right now, Darius Garland and Colin Sexton are not doing it for me. They're just not doing it for me. But I got really off topic there. Sorry about that. Continue.
So Aldridge, I mean, he's not going to give you starter quality basketball right now. He's going to be a very good player off the bench. He's another piece. I was doing some reading today because I was curious, why did he leave?
Congratulations.
Yeah, I know. I haven't done that in a while. I was curious, like, why did he leave Portland in the first place? And basically it was because he was upset that he kept getting outshined. First was Brandon Roy. Then as soon as Brandon Roy's gone, they bring in Damian Lillard, and Lillard's the face of the franchise. And Lamarcus Aldridge, who was the most stable guy that they'd had there, never got his day as the face of the franchise. So instead, he went to San Antonio with a very young Kawhi Leonard, and he was supposed to be the heir apparent to Tim Duncan. Never really worked out. But I mean, in his head, I could see how it could have, right? Like he could have been like, all right, Tim Duncan leaves. You're the next guy, just like David Robinson left and Tim Duncan came in, and now he's a star. But, you know, I think he's going to go back to Portland because he's basically stayed in touch with the entire team there. And he said, I want to finish my career in Portland. He doesn't seem like super healthy or that he's got a ton of like run left in him. So if this is near the end of it, why not put Lamarcus Aldridge with Damian Lillard and CJ and Gary Trent, who I think is a fantastic player that we don't talk about enough.
Yep.
Melo, another Hall of Famer. You know, I mean, we're going to look back at this Blazers team, the 2021 Blazers, be like they had like 4 Hall of Famers on that team with CJ and Dame and Aldridge and Melo at the same time, which is that's going to be hilarious because like 2 of those guys were not in the prime of their careers when they were Hall of Famers. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, I think this is the only move. If the Trailblazers were going to make a move, this is the only move they can make. And it's the only move they're even slightly incentivized to make because, look, the downside is he doesn't work out. You're paying him the veteran minimum. It really doesn't have an impact on your team. The upside is he comes in, produces, possibly gets a lot of offensive rebounds in the playoffs. Maybe he can come in, produce off the bench, get some inside scoring. And he probably won't hurt with some merch sales. You might sell a few Lamarcus Aldridge jerseys. All those retro jerseys you got in the trailer. You can put those out. But I think that there's really no other team. There's really no other reason I would see Aldridge even like trying to buy his way out. He's just like, I need to go win a ring. There's one place that is a potential contender that probably gives me as good a chance as any. And like on a team that's not the Lakers. So I think, look, it's a deal that works for both sides in a way, and I think it's worth pursuing if you're the Trailblazers, because like I said, what else are you going to do? Like there's no one else you can go out and get unless you're willing to trade CJ McCollum and like really throw in a wild card, but even then you don't do that because it mess up the whole chemistry of your team.
Yeah, no, I mean I think it makes sense for Portland. I mean they're trying to make a run. He's a good guy to bring in, and it never hurts to have size in the playoffs, especially when guys are gonna be banging around down there. So it's if you know you're gonna have to play the Lakers at some point, or if you think you're gonna have to play the Lakers at some point, you got Morris to deal with, you have Anthony Davis to deal with. I mean, there's size out in the Western Conference, and Portland doesn't really have a guy out there that can go down there and clean the glass a little bit. Zach Collins isn't going to do that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like they need a guy like that. So I mean, he fits. He'll work. They'll be fine.
Let me tell you, the New York Knicks were built to beat the Los Angeles Lakers. Like that's it. You want size, bro. That's like that whole team is just power forwards all the way through. But we will talk about the Knicks at some point because because I'm just surrounded by Knicks and Giants fans on this podcast apparently. Wait, are you a Knicks fan?
I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm a Miami Heat fan. I've been a Miami Heat fan since Shaq and Wade. So
That's what everyone says. Since Shaq and Wade, I totally didn't start rooting for them in 2010.
no, I rooted for them. I sat through the Michael Beasley years. The people that say, "Oh, Shaq and Wade," they won't tell you about the Michael Beasley years. I sat through the Michael Beasley years, so we did that.
God bless Michael Beasley, man. He was one of like those players in 2K who was like just OP, like in like 2K9, 2K10. The dude was OP. He was literally the next incarnation of LeBron, and in like you saw the talent a little bit on the court, but at the same time, it just did never materialize, and he had his own problems. But big shout out to Michael Beasley. If you ever want to come on the show, you know where to hit us at Real Take Sports. And if you want to also check out some of our other stuff in the archives, be sure to do that. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Ben.
Especially you, Michael Beasley.
Yep. Especially you. All right, so the ACC, in an attempt to jump on the story as well as curb Ben's gambling addiction, announced Thursday that the Duke Blue Devils conference tournament quarterfinal game against Florida State was canceled after a positive COVID test. Subsequent quarantining and contract tracing has been taking place within the basketball program. But they didn't end there. The Duke athletic director, Ken White, put out a statement where he said that they were going to cancel the entire rest of their 2020-2021 season, snapping the Blue Devils streak of 24 consecutive NCAA tournaments. And Coach K came out with a statement on the matter where he said, I am extremely proud of the collective attitudes and efforts which could not have been stronger. We are disappointed we're disappointed we cannot keep fighting together as a group after 2 outstanding days in Greensboro. This season was a challenge for every team across the country, and as we have seen over and over, this global pandemic is very cruel and is not over. It's not yet over. As many safeguards as we implemented, no one is immune to this terrible virus. So we see, once again, for the second year in a row, the NCAA tournament potentially is affected by the COVID-19 crisis. We also have the University of Virginia pulling out of the ACC tournament, number 11 Kansas pulling out of the Big 12 tournament, and Kentucky ending their season. So a lot of big-name schools ending their seasons. We have the future of Virginia and Kansas, who I want to note can still finish their season, but there's got a lot to be worked out with COVID testing and contact tracing. But we're seeing it happen once again, right around the same time as last year. Sports, mainly March Madness, which we missed out on last year, being affected. Ben, what do you think about this? I know you have strong opinions.
Yeah, I mean, bad year for the blue blood schools. But I'm not gonna get into the conspiracy that, if it existed, would say that Coach K knew that this team isn't very good this year, and in order to get out of losing a streak of 24 straight tournament appearances, he would fake a positive COVID test on his team. I'm not going to do that. I know.
Wow, whopper.
I would never say nor float something as ridiculous as that. But this is just kind of the world that we're in right now, and I think Duke is probably not going to be one of those standby teams. I know they're doing standby teams this year just in case somebody has a COVID problem while they're up in Indy. But I mean, who knows? I mean, if some of those last teams out or whatever, if Duke is on the bubble, if they're supposed to be on the bubble, if they could sneak in as someone's replacement because of COVID, I guess good for them. But yeah, it's just kind of this is the state of the world right now, and you know, Duke probably wasn't going very far anyway. I mean, they had their best player already drop out basically for the season. So, you know, this is kind of where they are. Not much to be said here aside from that.
Yeah, I mean, look, look, I hate that school down in Durham as much as anybody. Like, I grew up a huge Maryland fan, so I have no love lost for them. I'm actually quite frankly happy to see them not being able to win a championship. It makes me happier than if the Cleveland Cavaliers had won a championship. It makes me happier than if a lot of things happen. But look, overall though, I do think that like this worries me about what other teams do. And it points to a concern I've had all year about college sports in general. And that was, at what point does the liability fall on these colleges? And at what point do these colleges take their roles as people who are supposed to protect and really defend these kids, like these kids, a lot of these people, like they're like, remember, these are students first to these colleges allegedly, and you know, athletes second. So, and if that's the case, if that's what they want to go by, and if that's what how they want to treat this, then they more than anyone should be incentivized to make sure that these kids, these students, are as far away from getting contact with people with COVID as anyone else. So like the liability falls on them. So it's a question of like liability, I think, for these colleges. I think Duke kind of made a decision that, well, you know, we've kind of exhausted all of the you know, the excuses we would have had, or we basically exhausted all of our usefulness, and we need to kind of like, we have positive COVID tests, so we need to kind of deal with it now. And I think they chose to just deal with it by canceling their season. And what worries me is that I think you might see, now that Duke has done it, now Kentucky's done it, you might see other teams and other colleges, if they have similar problems, especially closer to March Madness, do the same thing. And like, what happens if like we're in the Sweet 16, or God forbid the Final Four, and like a team just contracts COVID, and like even one positive COVID test on the team, the whole thing falls apart. So, you know, that's the nuclear scenario. That's the worst case scenario. But like, it's, again, these things aren't that like out of the realm of possibility, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's that likely, because I mean they're going to be doing the bubble up in Indy, so I mean it's the chances that we're going to see somebody have to drop out of the NCAA tournament, I'd say, are pretty low. Um, but you know, again, like I don't think they're going to be like canceling, or I mean they're going to cancel games, and the team that isn't able to play is just going to not play. I mean, there might be some cases where a team gets lucky. I don't know exactly what their rules are. If like, you know, a Sweet 16 game gets canceled or whatever, and then the next day an Elite Eight game gets canceled, would they just play those games on the week after? Like, I don't know what the rules are, what the protocols are going to be. I think they're just kind of hoping everything runs smoothly, but you know, who knows? We'll see. It's definitely going to be a new experience for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what they did with the NFL playoffs and the NBA playoffs. So that's the best you can do, really, under the circumstances. And well, we know, you know, as people who love March Madness, as people who love to fill out the brackets, we were left wanting last year. We were left really wanting to. I just wanted the chance to fill out my bracket. I didn't like they could have started it. I just wanted to be able to, like, you know, knowingly fill it out, and because it's like a tradition I do every single year, and last year I wasn't able to do that. So, you know, we wish the NCAA the best. Take care of these kids, please. Take care of these kids.
I mean, they didn't even release a bracket last year. Like, we were basically done with. Well, no, I mean, there were a lot of conference tournaments to still be played, but you know, it would have been nice if they just put a bracket out and just been like, here, we're not going to play it, but just have fun with it, fill it out, whatever. Like that could have been a nice little gift from them. But no, I mean, everything kind of sucked last year, so it's just kind of what we got stuck with.
2020 was a terrible year for the people, but 2020 was an amazing year for Real Take Sports Talk. Real Take Sports Talk got its kickoff in 2020, and you can support Real Take Sports Talk by hitting us up at patreon.com/Real Take Sports. For that, you can get some exclusive content. We got a lot of videos of me and Johnny watching your favorite movies, clips from your favorite sports moments, and much more, analyzing plays, and a lot of other shit that we found fun. So be sure to check that out. Also, check out the archives, as I said, and like, share, subscribe. But the reason I do that is because it gives me time to change graphics. And as you can see by the graphic, we have hit our last official topic of tonight. Alex Smith and his time in Washington has come to an end. Alex Smith was released by the Washington football team last week. Smith, of course, won the NFL Comeback Player of the Year last year after returning from a gruesome leg injury he suffered in the 2018 regular season. And apparently, Ben, there was a lot of hesitation on the part of the Washington football team about whether or not to clear him or play him. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but just some more on the whole saga that went around. So in the beginning of the season, Smith, apparently his doctors cleared him. Washington was hesitant. They did not want him to come back out of, one, concerns for his health. But the obvious other concern they probably had was the fact that they would have had to pay him a lot more money that's left on his huge contract. So that probably played a part in this. And they did. And after all the terrible PR they had, releasing Alex Smith probably wouldn't have been a good move in the beginning of the year. So I think like a lot of factors played into that. There's probably why you didn't see Smith play even when Dwayne Haskins struggled earlier in the year, and then they went to that quarterback from Carolina whose
Kyle
name I
Allen.
forgot. Kyle, yeah, the most generic white ass name I've ever heard.
Backup quarterback name.
Backup quarterback name. Kyle Allen is no Jim Sorgi. Jim Sorgi is the greatest backup quarterback in NFL history. If you guys don't know him, look him up. He was a genius. He was Peyton Manning's backup quarterback for 15 years. Didn't do shit. Just sat on the bench and collected a paycheck every week. God bless Jim Sorgi. But that's not. But I got off topic there. But let me regroup.
The funnier part about Jim Sorgi, though, I do want to add that
go for it.
Peyton had his neck problem, Jim Sorgi wasn't even there anymore. They had to bring Curtis Painter in.
Oh yeah, no. You know what Jim Sorgi did that year, right? Sorgi, like when the year Peyton had his neck injury, like that year, the offseason before, Sorgi went over to New York and he joined the Giants. So he was Eli's backup quarterback for that year. Another Manning who had a streak of consecutive start streak. So Jim Sorgi's the smartest man in football for his time. Love him to death. He also, for those who don't know, was part of Victor Cruz's coming out party in a Week 2 preseason game from 2011. Be sure to check out the highlights of that. Big game for Victor Cruz that year. He wore number 6 like a quarterback. Anyway,
even though Rhett Bomar threw him all his touchdowns in that game against the Jets, do need to throw that in.
There you go. Oh, this is true. So, no, I think Sorgi threw it. We'll regroup on that later. All right. So Ron Rivera, when he was asked about why they hesitated with Smith earlier in the year, he said the lingering concern was, quote, what if he gets hurt? And again, this is someone who won the Comeback Player of the Year. This is someone who, before he was injured, was a pretty good, damn near great starting quarterback in the NFL and effective. Like the least you can say about Alex Smith, the worst thing you can say about him is he throws the ball efficiently. Like, he can manage the fuck out of a game. That is Alex Smith at his worst. So what do you think about this saga? Because there seems to be a lot of bad blood, especially on Alex Smith's part, in the way he was treated. So what do you think? Was Washington right in the way they treated him? Were they just in a terrible position given where they were? Or what's up?
We're talking about a Dan Snyder run football team, and you expect them to have to be run well? I mean, come on. There's nothing about Washington over the past 10 years, ever since, think about it. They have not been good for the time that Dan Snyder has been running that football team. And you expected anything to change? It's the same ownership. It all starts at the top. And of course they would be afraid to clear him. like if you're a doctor, think about it from a non-medical perspective. Like think about it as a doctor who's not good at their job, who doesn't want to do their job. You're like, oh, I just saw a guy get his leg broken in a scary way. I'm gonna disregard everything else that the medicine tells me and the x-rays tell me and anything about this guy's medical history tells me, and just replay that injury in my head and say, I'm too freaked out to ever see that happen again. I mean, what kind of doctor does that? A Washington football team doctor. That's who would do that. I mean, this is the type of organization we're dealing with here.
The same doctors that sent out RG3 after he already partially tore his ACL in the playoff game. Yeah,
no, I mean, this is people always make fun of the Jets. This is the worst run franchise in the NFL. They got lucky that they traded for Alex Smith. And honestly, I remember the day that he got traded there, and people were like, oh, is this going to do anything? I was like, Washington's going to win the division. Because and I said these words over and over, and I will still say it about Alex Smith. Alex Smith wins football games. You just need to. That's it. The guy I don't know how he does it. He'll throw for 130 yards and he'll run for 50 more. I mean, he's just a guy who's going to win football games. He'll go 11-5 every year. That's what he does. He's Alex Smith. He's going to find a way to win.
Alex Smith is Joe Flacco.
No. Yes. He's better than Joe Flacco. He's better than Joe Flacco.
I always try to throw in a Joe Flacco reference every episode, but
now you hit your quota. There you go.
Yeah, I hit my quota. But yeah, I look. He look. Ever since he kind of got his confidence back during the 2011 year, like Smith has just been on a roll in the NFL. Like, you want to say, oh, he doesn't put up the best numbers, or like the dude completes 70% of his passes. Like, oh yeah, sure, he has like he averages like 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions like a year, like basically up until last year. Like that dude, there are barely like 10 quarterbacks right now who could consistently every year give you those numbers, and Alex Smith is one who has been there, done that. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's played in the playoffs, won playoff games, gone to championship games. The dude knows what he's doing. And for Washington to believe that, look, I understand the underlying injury concerns. Everyone was scared for Alex Smith when he first went out there, and Aaron Donald basically just jumped on his back for a sack. Everyone was fearful. But at a certain point, you do have to look at your roster from top to bottom. Alex Smith was at this point cleared. And you have to look at it like, all right, who gives us the best chance to win? We are in the shittiest division in the history of football, especially the year that they were playing. This was 2020. The 2020 NFC East was the shittiest division in the history of football. I'm talking about going back to the 1800s. I don't even know if they had divisions back in Yale and all them. This is worse than those teams that ended everything in ties. It was the worst division in the history of football, and you're telling me that you honestly believed that Kyle Allen and Dwayne fucking Haskins gave you a better chance to win than the guy who might not throw for 10 touchdowns this year, but he's gonna complete passes when you need to, and your defense is gonna be pretty good. How do you get to that point where you literally insult the guy by saying, yeah, no, this dude who won 2 games in Carolina last year, yeah, he's better than you. This dude who everyone knows is a bust, he's automatically better than you. How does that happen?
I know everybody likes to talk about stats and yards and completion percentage with quarterbacks, and they always say quarterback wins are a bad stat. All right. Take a deep breath. Just enter my world for a second, okay? What is the goal of playing in the National Football League? Winning football games. Your job is to win. You should put out whoever gives you the best chance of winning. I just did a little stats. You ready for some stats? 2011 on, okay? Since 2011 on. 13-3, 6-2-1, 11-4, 8-7, 11-5, 11-4, 9-6, 6-4, 5-1 this year. That's Alex Smith's win-loss record. He has not had a losing season since 2010. That's pre-Jim Harbaugh in San Francisco. There is not a time that Gen Z kids can remember that Alex Smith did not have a winning season in the NFL. I remember bad Alex Smith. Bad Alex Smith was bad. He was a bust. Alex Smith right now knows what he does well. He will win you football games. And isn't that the only thing that matters, right? What's the goal? You want to win. I don't care if you're like, oh, this guy's developmental. He's got a big arm. He's accurate. Alex Smith finds a way to win you football games. You want to win football games at the end of the day. It drives me crazy when teams are like, oh, we want a quarterback who's got, he can throw intermediate and long passes. Get a guy who can win you football games. Isn't that the goal? Where 30 teams this offseason said, no, we don't want Tom Brady. He steps into Tampa, doesn't have the greatest statistical season out of everybody. He didn't win MVP. He won a Super Bowl. Isn't that the goal? You're supposed to win a Super Bowl. That's the point of playing in the league. If you could sign a guy that can guarantee you a Super Bowl, then come on. I don't understand what's wrong with these teams right now where they don't care about winning football games. Somebody should sign Alex Smith as a, 1B kind of guy. San Francisco, is there a little reunion there? Could be behind Jimmy, because Jimmy's not the healthiest kind of guy. I mean, I know that is, a little dangerous putting Alex Smith, who is an injury-prone old man right now, behind Jimmy G, who himself can't really stay healthy. But in that system out there, I don't think it's a bad fit. You bring him back to San Francisco, and when Jimmy G eventually either gets benched or gets hurt, because Jimmy's not playing 16 games. I don't think Jimmy's making it through a 16-game season. You bring in Alex Smith, and Alex Smith is going to win you football games. That's what he does. Any team that needs a quarterback, please sign Alex Smith. He will win you football games. I love Alex Smith. I'm a huge Alex Smith guy.
I can tell. But, I mean, look, for me, it's a matter of, okay, Alex Smith can still play, I think. I think he can – the worst he can offer at this point is he can kind of be a Ryan Fitzpatrick kind of guy. A little bit yeah, he's like, he might not be at his as best as he was when he was, at the top of his game, but come in, he can manage those games, he can complete passes, he can do all that, and he can tutor the younger QBs you might have on your roster. And that's like a bigger role that I think Alex Smith too at some point needs to kind of accept, because yeah, he won a lot of games. He went 5-1. And that is important, because they wouldn't have gone 5-1 in that stretch if it wasn't for Alex Smith.
Right.
But at the same time, though, I understand. At the same time, though, Ben, you also have to take into account that the fact that there's a ceiling to what Alex Smith can give you, especially when you're not playing in the NFC East. All right. So you have to take those into account. So I think, given that, his role now needs to be, and he needs to accept the fact that he might just be a guy who comes in for a year or even if that, and just tutors a younger guy to eventually take over the franchise. And there's a few places that could be open to that. One place that I think might actually surprise some people, and this really isn't even like that scenario that I just said, but I think Denver could be a potential landing spot for Alex Smith, as weird as it sounds. I think the Denver Broncos are that's a team that, is do they have their quarterback? I don't think so. They don't really, they haven't had anyone since Peyton Manning retired, if we're being honest. And I think that they're a team that's searching for their quarterback, and God knows John Elway does not know what the fuck he's doing when he's drafting quarterbacks. Paxton Lynch didn't turn out fine. I forgot the guy who they have now, but he's
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. Great start to his time there. Went I think 4-1 his rookie year, then up and down past year. So there's that to build off of. But I think Alex Smith in that team could come in there and I don't know if they're not gonna win the division, obviously, but I think he could probably groom a quarterback there, and that's a team that I think might be willing to take a chance on an Alex Smith. Yeah, so Patriots too are another option, but
no, the Patriots aren't going to go with two old guys. I got Cam already.
They should, bro. They could have. If I was going to pay a quarterback $14 million, I definitely would have taken Alex Smith before I took Cam Newton. But
Alex Smith would have got the Patriots to the playoffs. Put Alex Smith on that team, he's going to win you football games. He's getting to the playoffs. Here's my thought. I don't think he's going to Denver. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to steal. I said this a couple weeks ago to a friend. I said, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to sign with the Broncos and steal Drew Lock's starting job by week 6. So that's going to happen. Write it in stone. I think Fitzpatrick's ending up in Denver, and he's going to take his job. I think this is a little wild here. I think Alex Smith is going to win 9 games next year with the Houston Texans.
Nunny?
I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna find a way to do that.
Um, look, it's the 9 games. That's a lot, bro. That's a lot coming from the Texans. This is a team that went like what 4-12, and they don't have their first round pick this year. This is a team that's decimated. They've lost all their weapons. They're gonna lose Fuller. They're gonna lose. They had to sign Mark Ingram. They had to. That was their big free agent signing, Mark Ingram. Like
they got Christian Kirksey yesterday too, so they're adding guys.
Dude, that's look.
Well,
could Alex Smith go there and win a few games? I'm sure. Look, I'm not doubting Alex Smith. Okay, I wanted to be clear. This in no way is an indictment on Alex Smith. It is an indictment on the franchise of the Houston Texans. That they are not going to win 9 games next year.
So here's the thing: the Texans are, and this is very contingent on whatever happens with Deshaun Watson. I don't think Deshaun Watson plays week 1 for them. Whether that means Deshaun Watson is still under contract with the Houston Texans week 1, I don't know. Like,
he's gonna either get traded or he's not gonna play. That's what he
right.
That's what he said. And he seems, if there's anyone I believe on that, I definitely believe Deshaun Watson. He's sick of that shit in Houston.
Yeah, no, and it seems like an absolute clown show down there right now. I mean, Jack Easterby seems like a grade A moron who's hijacked the entire franchise. But I mean, you think about Houston, that is going to be a good spot for a veteran quarterback who wants playing time. And they're probably going to sign a free agent because they don't really have anywhere in the draft to do that. If they, if they get a first round pick for this year in a Deshaun Watson trade, whatever quarterback they take is not going to be ready to play because it's not going to be Trevor Lawrence. So whoever they take, whether it winds up being Justin Fields or Trey Lance or any of the other quarterbacks, if they wind up in the first round because of a Deshaun Watson trade, is probably going to sit on the bench. I think Alex Smith, like you said, is going to be a good mentor. But Alex Smith at that point is going to be better than whoever the rookie is. And, he's probably going to play the entire season because I don't think he's going to give that starting job up because he just finds a way to win football games. So,
Look, I mean, I don't doubt that scenario could play out, but 9 games is a lot, especially when you consider the fact that division just got a lot better this offseason. Because you got the defending champions in it's the Colts, right? The Colts won the division last year.
The Colts won the division.
No. It was
Tennessee.
So Tennessee, like they're gonna be in contention for that for the top
I
of
don't
the
trust
division.
Tennessee. I think Tennessee's gonna fall off this year.
They could, especially
they
after
lost their offensive coordinator too.
But you got Tennessee to compete with, who's no slouch. I think Indianapolis is going to surprise people. Like I think the quarter. Like look, say what you want about Wentz. Like he's not a good quarterback. He's not a franchise quarterback. He failed in Philly. He failed in Philly the last year, especially because of just a lack of talent and just comprehension of how to build a team. But from the front office and Doug Peterson. But that's neither here nor there. I think he, with Frank Reich in that Indianapolis offense, he has a great offensive line in front of him, something Andrew Luck unfortunately never had. He has potentially another running back coming in. They have, and that defense is underrated as fuck. Like that is a team that I think is going to do some damage in the AFC. So you got that to compete with, and Jacksonville, with Tony Khan running the operation down there, he's going to be like trying to get better. Urban Meyer, obviously, they brought in number 1 pick. This division is going to be tough, man. 9 games in this division, it's a lot. It's a lot, especially considering like I think 10 games in this division was the wild card. So you got your work cut out for you with that take.
I mean, the thing I'll say about Carson Wentz is that the Colts don't seem like they like him already. You already have Michael Pittman saying, "I'm not giving you my jersey number, dude." go
Oh,
somewhere
okay,
else. Like,
okay. You obviously only read like the first line of that article. Like
yeah,
he
no, I
said,
said I don't read. I've made it very clear I
yeah,
don't read.
no, no. Okay, so Pittman basically said that Wentz called him up and like he politely asked him about it, and he said if not, it's cool, it's whatever. And Pittman said, nah, I don't feel like giving it up, but he respects Wentz for asking. So the lesson
See,
of today's Real Take Sports Talk is read, kids,
no,
read.
no, 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 no. See, I'm going back on that take. I'm going back on my I don't read take because okay, I read enough of it to know that he's not giving his jersey number. And what I'll read into that is that if he respected Carson Wentz, if Michael Pittman wore number 12 and Tom Brady came to Indy, he would give his number to Tom Brady. He does
Okay, yeah,
not
but
respect
Carson Wentz isn't Tom Brady.
Yeah, but he's your quarterback. Why would you not want to be friends with your quarterback? Why would you not want to be in good graces with your quarterback? Because now this guy's just like, if he was a good quarterback and they believed in him, he would give his number to Carson Wentz. But he's not doing that, and I don't think that.
Ryan
You need chemistry.
Ryan Fitzmagic comes to your team, asks for your jersey number, you give it to him.
Yes, everybody's done it so far. Like almost everyone's done it. He's always 14, except for when he was 4 in Tennessee. But I think that was his.
Oh
choice
shit!
too.
I forgot he was in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Dude, he might be. I think Fitzmagic is definitely taking over Vinny Testaverde. Oh, Vincent Testaverde's old place as a best journeyman quarterback in NFL history.
But
I think
not best Italian American quarterback in Italian history.
No.
Vinny still has that.
Big shout out to Vinny Testaverde. Although Vinny Testaverde has done one thing that I don't think Fitzpatrick has done. That's make a Pro Bowl. So, so and I think Vinny made the playoffs once. I think.
We got to get Ryan Fitzpatrick to a Pro Bowl now,
dude. You got to give him one postseason game. Like, I think Fitzy would take one postseason game over all of that shit because that
almost got there this year, but Tua messed it up.
Yeah, well, he had a 10-game. Remember, he won 10 games with the Jets. 10 games, 10-6 with the Jets, and it still wasn't enough to get him to the playoffs. 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, man.
Yeah, he still holds a bunch of their single-season passing records because of that one year. So,
dude, it's like best quarterbacks in franchise history for the New York Jets: Joe Namath and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Mark Sanchez might be number 2 because he got to those 2 AFC Championship games.
Okay. See, and then Mark Sanchez is someone who's like the epitome of the argument against the like it's actually against your argument, which is like winning the quarterbacks wins matter.
AFC
like
Championships, AFC Championship games. He went away from the Super Bowl twice.
Look. I will say this: Mark Sanchez didn't hurt their chances of getting there. I think he didn't help them at all, though, either. But that's a take for a different day.
The
Sanchez. Oh my god, dude! I just remember people were saying Mark Sanchez is like a top 10 quarterback, and I was like calling bullshit on that. I'm like, yo, okay, look. I know my quarterback is Joe Flacco. I know I know Joe Flacco is one of the most polarizing quarterbacks, right? But at least I can take solace in the fact that I know my quarterback at least like produces a little bit in the playoffs and helps my team just a little bit sometimes. Mark Sanchez never really helped that team. Let's be honest. That team, they ran the ball hard, and they won with defense, and the defense scored more often than not. So, I don't know. Like, Mark Sanchez, great guy, great analyst on college football, great analyst on ESPN, much like Dan Orlovsky. Not the best quarterback though for your starter.
Mark Sanchez. Well, I mean, he played. He finished his career with Washington, so another career.
Wait, did he really? I thought he finished his career with the Eagles.
No, I think he was with the Eagles for 1 year, started a bunch for them, and then had one final game with Washington where he handed the ball off to Adrian Peterson, and Adrian Peterson had like a 90-something yard touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, he also spent time with Chicago and Dallas and Denver. Yes. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Mark Sanchez was giving old Ryan Fitzmagic a run for his money the last few years.
The Sanchez.
Oh, man. The good old Sanchez. Oh, we love to see it. Though, we were talking about quarterbacks who swindled the NFL out of money and NFL teams. I think number one on that list, forget Jim Sorgi, forget all those other names. It's got to be Sam Bradford. The person who swindled more teams than anyone else was because
What?
every single
No.
contract he got, dude, from his rookie deal, he had he's the reason that rookie pay scale came into account because his contract was like 66 million for like the first 5 years in the league, like outrageous. And
So
like every contract after that was like a max extension.
my one defense of Sam Bradford is that, well, actually a couple defenses of Sam Bradford. When he needed to play well, he
You were a
always
rare breed,
played
my
well.
guy. A rare
Especially
breed.
especially when there was a contract coming up. Sam Bradford would always play well when there was a contract coming up. And my other defense of Sam Bradford, there was a time when Sam Bradford held the single season completion percentage record.
This is true. This is true. And look, but again, dude, okay, so let's just look at some of the contracts that this man has been given over the past week. Right out of the gate.
First, can we name all the teams that Sam Bradford has been a part of?
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, there's only 4. Luckily, so it's the Rams, the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Cardinals. Yep, there you go.
That fourth one's the wild card. People forget about the Cardinals. He was
because he literally spent a cup of coffee there. He got cut like 6 games in, but got
yeah.
But let's
who
look
was
at
their
this.
Quarterback after him again? They went
Josh Rosen. Oh, they ruined the Rose. They ruined the Rose.
You do contracts. I want to give you 2 Josh Rosen stat lines. I'm going to pick 2 random stat lines after you do the contracts. So do the contracts.
Right. So Sam Bradford contracts, guys. This is a whopper. I was so wrong about my original take on his contract. It's actually bigger than I thought it was. His rookie deal, right out of the gate, 2010, number 1 pick, Sam Bradford, and he got this paid in full because he went through the entirety of this contract. 6 years, $78 million. At signing, he was given $18 million. Average salary, oh my God, this was just bad. This was, wow. 2016, signs a 2-year contract with the Eagles, and he gets paid $36 million for 2 years. Then he signed, I believe, he signed another contract with the Vikings. It's not showing up here. Oh, sorry. Then he went to the Vikings. Oh, this is great. Got paid $18 million to play with the Vikings. And then, we're not done yet here, guys. Then Sam Bradford went to the Cardinals on a 1-year deal. Got paid $16 million to do nothing other than start like 4 games, get cut, sit on the couch, collected every single penny of that deal. Sam Bradford is the greatest swindler in NFL history. His career earnings amount to, again, this is Sam Bradford of all people, $130 million, not like in the bank, guys. Just so you know, like the reality is like what's his name? Mahomes likely won't get all $500 million of his dollars. The contract numbers that we see nowadays are like really obscure. But to actually get $130 million of your NFL contract money throughout the entirety of your career is a big fucking deal, especially from the time that he played. And Sam Bradford, he made the most of his opportunities in the NFL. That's the least I could say about Sam Bradford. He made the most of his time.
Josh Rosen, Week 10, 2018.
Oh God.
Against Oakland, they lose 23-21. 9 of 20, 136 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Oh, that's the best stat line of his career, isn't it?
The 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, that's the most touchdowns he ever threw in a game. The next year he goes to Miami. Everyone's like, oh, poor Josh Rosen. They traded him too early. They gave up on him too quick. No, they didn't. His last start with the Dolphins, they lose 17-16 to Washington. 15 of 25, 85 yards. 2 interceptions.
Look, say what you want about Josh Rosen. We can shit on Rosen all we want. We can
he
say
stinks.
All these guys are better. One thing we know for sure, and that is that Josh Rosen technically was on a team that won the Super Bowl this year. Dude,
He
Blaine
might get a
Gabbert,
ring.
Blaine fucking Gabbert is a Super Bowl champion, and
Hell
that
yeah.
annoys me. That infuriates me. Blaine Gabbert has no business being near a Super Bowl.
Blaine Gabbert stole Colin Kaepernick's job in San Francisco because
And
Blaine
on that
Gabbert
note,
is.
on that note, we are going to call it a night. Ben, thank you for joining me tonight. It's been good having you, my guy. A lot
This
of
is
fun
fun.
takes, a lot of interesting takes. I don't agree with a lot of them, but
Someone's got to have him to keep it interesting around here. You see a lot of these big time media folks. They're all like, "Oh, let's all agree on Trevor Lawrence." It's more fun when someone doesn't agree on Trevor Lawrence. So you get a little debate going. You get people's gears turning a little bit. Did the chat ever say anything about Troy Aikman? And
oh yeah, wrong. I
they
meant to
said
say this.
wrong.
Yeah, someone just said wrong in the chat about your comment about Troy Aikman and Joe Buck.
See, I think they're wrong. I'll fight the chat. You want me to fight the chat? Is that bad?
No.
That's bad
We will-
etiquette.
How about this? How about
Okay.
this? Next time you're on here, we'll give you your own segment to fight the chat and fight the comments. Because one thing I do is I clip like a lot of the segments into videos, and the comments are wild. Like people are mean. Can you believe this? People on social media and YouTube are mean.
Wait, what?
It blows my fucking mind. Like how, dude, like.
But I saw a dog video yesterday. It was like what? Like what do you mean people are mean? Like I don't get it. I mean, people are mean on social media?
No, I know. I mean that was trying to be sarcastic, but
No. So mean how? What do you mean
no.
how?
Oh, dude. So, I'll tell you some of this stuff off air. I can't repeat it. I literally can't repeat it. But look, for Patreon content possibly. We'll see about that.
We read mean comments. Jimmy Kimmel's segment has been stolen by everybody now. So why don't we hop on that train?
Dude, this is like the rated R version of that. This is like the canceled version of that. Some of these comments that I would get, but we'll talk about that at a later time. Ben, again, thank you for joining us, my friend. Any parting words?
I didn't think about it. You should have given me a heads up on this because now I need to think about this. Parting words. I don't know. Stay hydrated. Get your vaccine.
Yo, for God's sakes, get your fucking vaccines. I'm sick of this shit. All right. Yep, and I agree with that. And we will see you same time, same place, maybe, possibly. I don't know. Follow us on Twitter. Find out. Real Take Sports Talk. See you guys.